Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekly show with Aditya. A half an hour show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. India's number one podcast with India's number one host, Aditya, in association with Dusra.net, the number one website in sports, education, and entertainment. Post the 2019 World Cup, the focus now shifts on to the World Test Championship. Most of us must be wondering, we just had the World Cup, so what is this World Test Championship? Cricket is one of the few sports, in fact, the only sport where we have three formats. Just like in tennis, the Wimbledon, the Australian Open, the Roland Garros, the French Open, and other tournaments have a prime importance. And if an individual is able to win all the tournaments that are in tennis, then your legacy remains in one's memory forever. But tennis has the same format. You start from the league stage and you go up to the finals. Cricket now has three formats, or we have had the same for the last 15 years. The World Cup we had recently was for the 50 overs. The top 10 teams played it, and England won the World Cup by virtue of qualifying for the semi-finals and then winning the finals. It is a similar story for the 20 overs, which has gained legitimacy over the past decade. Now, let me elaborate on an interesting contrast. If you look at the Asian countries, that is Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, and Afghanistan, the stadiums are full for these countries when they play the 50 over matches. In contrast, teams like England, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, one can say that the stadiums are full for all the three formats. The ICC, that is the International Cricket Council, has had a lot on its hand. They used to organize the Champions Trophy, which means the Mini World Cup and the 50 over World Cup alternatively. Then they had to work their schedule as they added the 20 over World Cup in 2007. And over the last 12 years, with T20 private leagues mushrooming all over the planet, the window for organizing such tournaments is small. So they painstakingly scrapped the Champions Trophy, converted that into a 20 over World Cup, and then from 2019 decided to add the World Test Championship. Even though it is called the World Test Championship, it will be played at a private level, means two teams will play each other, and the only difference will be that they will be now awarded points. The inaugural match of the World Test Championship starts from Thursday. That is the first test match of the Ashes. Now, what is the Ashes? It's a private bilateral series played between two teams, that is the current world champions England and the former world champions Australia. Why is it called the Ashes? There is an interesting story behind it. In brief, it is a 141-year-old rivalry. The bale, that is the wooden bales that you see on the stumps, was burned by one of the spectators 141 years ago, and since then the tournament has been called the Ashes. They preserve those bales in an urn and play each other alternatively every 2 years. If you look at the scheduling, you will see that right from the administrators, the coaches, the respective cricket board, everybody is involved in it. Now, a series which didn't get the attention of other teams might just get it. When you're being awarded 24 points for a win, why will not you be involved? The only flaw in this format is there are no semi-finals or quarter-finals. Calling it a World Test championship might be a misnomer. In terms of the good points, they had to give some context to so called bilateral test matches. They were being played without any meaning. The top two teams will play the finals, and they have selected only 9 teams to be eligible to participate in this. And I question this logic. Teams like Afghanistan and Ireland have been kept out of the context for some reason. That is, if these two teams play, their points will not count. In fact, there will be no point system. So, after lying dormant for over 20 years, we are going to see this format, this particular tournament introduced again. The idea behind to reintroduce this particular tournament was to get crowds for this particular format. Test match, as we know, is a sport, is cricket played over 5 days. And if you look at the reaction of the crowd, they are quiet. They don't have too many emotions coming out of them. Unlike the 50 and the 20 over format, where you see the crowd enthusiastically involved, drums beating, shouting, hooting, all those activities happening. But here, everybody turns into a zombie. And this attitude bamboozles me. The rigid attitude is what is making the crowds smaller and smaller, especially in the Asian region. Since we have accepted the fact that cricket has 3 formats and it's not going anywhere, then blaming one format for the dwindling crowds in other format is really juvenile. They need to look at the start time of matches, especially in India. The match starts at 9:30. How do they expect people to come to the stadium at 9:30? To reach at 9:30 or 10, one will have to start from their house around 6 a.m. and then going through the security check and other formalities also is a hassle. If you look at other countries and their start times, the majority of the countries' start time is either 10:30 a.m. or 11 a.m. So we need to look at this and then think how we can draw in more crowds, if that is the final objective. But this is an endless debate. So for a moment, let's take our minds away from cricket. So if you ask me what sport or game have I excelled in, I would say chess. And if we have to include other intellectual sports, then that would include crossword as well as Scrabble. If you have to ask me who would I choose between a Vishwanath Anand and a Sachin Tendulkar, there are much better examples than Sachin Tendulkar in terms of sports, of course. In the contemporary times, I enjoy watching the Indian hockey team. Despite all the criticism this team has received, in my mind, this is one of the top hockey teams. Regardless of the fact that we don't have a World Cup trophy in our cabinet. So for potential guests, here is a quiz for you. Question number 1. Who is the captain of the Indian Kabaddi team and what team does he represent in the Kabaddi League? Your options are A. Pardeep Narwal, B. Rahul Chaudhary, and C. Rohit Kumar. Question number 2, part 1. Who is the captain of the men's hockey team? Your options are A. Shrijesh, B. Mandeep Singh, C. Akashdeep Singh, D. Harmanpreet Singh, or E. Manpreet Singh. Question number 2, part 2. Who is the captain of the Indian women's hockey team? Your options are A. Rani Rampal, B. Nikki Pradhan, C. Deep Grace Eka, or D. Sunita Lakra. Question number 4. Who did Vijender Singh beat to win his US Pro debut? Question number 5. Who is the coach of the Indian badminton team? Your options are A. Prakash Padukone, or B. Pulela Gopichand. Send me your answers by email, for which the last date is 7th August 2019. And you may just be my guest for the 100th episode of Asia's #1 podcast. The next 4 years, we are going to witness some very important sporting events: the Olympics 2020, the two 20 over World Cups in 2020 and 2021, the Football World Cup in 2022, the Cricket World Cup in 2023, and many more events such as the Wimbledon, the Roland Garros, the French Open, the Australian Open, etc. The Asian Football Championship qualifiers also bring an important event to the calendar. So, who could be the next Indian coach? Now, there is no automatic selection. Individuals have to apply and they need to have some experience so that they can do a good job. The incumbent coach in Ravi Shastri should continue, means he should be given the weightage of doing the job for over 2 years and successfully, even if the World Cup trophy did not come in our cabinet. The Indian Cricket Board should not go the way of Hockey India, who fired Harinder Singh after India's performance in the Hockey World Cup. One cannot compare hockey and cricket because the role of the coach in these two sports is like apples and oranges. But looking at the other options we have, since Rahul Dravid is officially out of the race, that leaves someone like Anil Kumble, who was a coach for a year and got all the accolades, to get his chance again. And surprisingly and shockingly, a certain Robin Singh has also put his hat in the ring. Now, individuals call Robin Singh an all-rounder. Going by the archaic definition and the contemporary definition, Robin Singh does not fall in the purview of being an all-rounder. He was what we call now a part-timer. And interestingly, he, along with Ajay Jadeja, have been called the two individuals who started the fielding revolution in India. By doing that, we insult the art of fielding itself. Well, he was the fielding coach, so anything is possible in these times. If the question is asked, where does someone like Ravi Shastri belong? In the coaching or as a commentator? In an ideal world, he could do both. But since we have this concept of conflict of interest, he has to choose one. And for me, he is a good coach, irrespective of winning or losing titles. If it's the question of just choosing anybody, then there is no better candidate than being the coach of the Indian team than yours truly. I won't have to do much. I will sit relaxed in the AC room while my players will sweat it out, and even if we formulate a strategy, the implementation is all on them. If we go by what the media wants, they don't want Ravi Shastri as the coach. And we know what all options they'll give. Will the coach be a surprise or a shock? We shall know in the next 1 week. And we will have a lengthy discussion on who was selected as the coach next week. The recruitment committee has an interesting play on their hands, and it's a shock that I am not part of that recruitment committee. They say that whatever happens, happens for good. In this case, if it's someone other than Ravi Shastri, then expect some ego clashes. If it's somebody who made zero contributions as a player, how do you expect him to contribute strategies as a coach? A cricket coach has the easiest job in the world. In fact, they don't have to do anything, yet they face the brickbats for every small mistake. That is why you don't see former players applying to be a coach in football or hockey, but when it comes to cricket, everybody wants to be in the line for a shot at this glory. I hope you enjoyed this short and sweet episode on the 29th of July 2019. Join me next week as our race towards 100 episodes gets more exciting. So, if you want to be a part of my show, please send your valuable suggestions and send your recording on topics ranging from sports, education, and entertainment on the email ID Aditya the writer at gmail.com. That is Aditya the writer at gmail.com. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please like and subscribe to my Facebook page and YouTube channel and stay tuned for the next episode.